are live. We got Jollof Jeremy, we got Melanin Mike, and we got DJ David Agbaire.
You're never gonna
Not how you say my surname, but you know what?
his name
I like the
at
way
all.
you say it. I like the way you say it, so we'll keep it.
And
I'm gonna change it to that.
who am I? That's not important. I'm just the cream of the podcast. The cream goes in the coffee. What is up, guys?
Cream rises to the top.
Yes, that is true. That's a nice explanation for systemic racism. Okay, guys.
Hey, leg kick family. Tell us if you want us to add some Hispanic flavor to the panel here. We want to make this around the world, just like how UFC is an around the world sport.
A nice take, mamacita.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or some Asian people we can do.
Yeah.
And by Asian I mean both Indian or Korean. You know,
We need an Antarctic fellow.
Vietnamese.
The Antarcticans are never represented fairly.
Yeah, now we're thinking outside of the box.
We are truly about diversity.
We're trying to be a panacea of MMA. Just basically like a mosaic.
And that's what we're about at the Leg Kick here, diversity. There's something I wanted to ask you guys, but then I forgot. Oh, here's it. We've got to remind the good people up front that this upcoming Friday, we will be releasing our exclusive interview with Shoney Carter. It was crazy. Don't miss it, guys. It's coming this Friday to the Leg Kick, an exclusive interview with UFC legend Shoney Carter, future Hall of Famer, man with over 300 fights, and you're not going to want to miss this content. So you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Shoney.
Yeah, no, that reminds me. I gotta actually put that promo up on YouTube. I forgot. I wanted to do it yesterday. But I'm gonna do it today.
You're forgiven, good
Quality
sir.
content right here.
You're forgiven. The Leg Kick, where we have good intentions, but our intentions are in the right place, people.
Okay, so ready for the news? The only thing I actually do in this godforsaken world. Cool. Let's start.
Wow. Whoa! Are we
That
gonna
got
skate
dark
over that?
quickly.
Whoa, Michael, are you sure you're okay? You just took a nap, or are you trying to?
Yeah,
I went to
Mike,
the shadow realm for a little bit. Don't worry, it's fine.
Mike usually chipper, usually full of energy, usually the life of this podcast. Today, Mike seems like he was just dragged out of a graveyard.
Literally.
I am fantastic. I'm doing wonderful.
Mike, are we live? Are we live or are we dead?
Are we human or are we dancer? Oh, sorry.
Dancer.
Okay. No.
I don't get the reference, but moving on. News.
The Killers. Oh man,
The Killers.
Oh, the Killers?
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by black people and I just made a Killers reference. Okay.
Jeremy loves the Killers, for the record.
No way.
Stefano just doesn't know good music, y'all.
I love it.
man.
What do you mean? I love the Killers. I'm just surprised you would
Man,
reference.
I love. My favorite song is "Hey Andy." Hey Andy, you're a star.
That would be like if I made a Big L reference, and I do love Big L for the record.
The Big L is great. That
Yeah.
would not be out of place at all. You see,
Yeah.
once again. Anyway, let's move on.
All right.
News,
So-
news and views.
First piece of news. Actually, let's start with the not fighting ones. Bayern Munich gets their kicks Barca's 8-2 in UCL. This was kind of surprising, but kind of not if you kind of know what's going on with Barca this year. And Bayern Munich and the trajectory they're on. Alphonso Davies was everywhere on that pitch. And Messi had a couple nice little moments, but Alphonso Davies looks like one of the best players in the world, and he's Canadian, so yeah.
Yes, shout out the Canadians, man. I keep saying Canada has great soccer talent. If only there was a structure to enable it.
Wait, a Canadian guy did well in soccer? What's this?
Yeah, his name's Alphonso Davies. He's like 19, 20.
Really?
Yeah, he's from
Currently one of the best
Montreal.
players in the world.
Yeah, he's a
Wow,
Haitian
okay.
immigrant. He used to play for the Vancouver Whitecaps, if anybody cares about that. And then he got transferred to one of the biggest teams in the world, Bayern Munich in Germany. And people were like, why would he move there? Because he's 18 or something like that. Had just played his first season in the MLS. And Bayern is Bayern with all these amazing players and had a lot of players in his position, specifically left wing. But what's been really shocking is he's played left back. So he's played in defense because they're just better than everyone. So all he needs to do is just run really fast. And it turns out he's kind of one of the fastest players in Europe right now, and he's absolutely killing it. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch as a Canadian, as a naturalized Canadian, because everybody knows like Canada has a ton of talent, and
oh my God,
it's all about the structure, man. It's all about the structure.
Yeah, guys.
See, I've always said,
sorry, Mike.
No, I've always said. I remember when I was working for Vibe, and they asked me not asked me, but we were doing a panel, and one of the questions of, Canada getting a FIFA bid in 2026 came up. And I said, I don't even think they need 2026. I think they could do it in 2022. I think they can go in 2022. And I was getting laughed at. And I was like, no, there's Cal Larin, there's Alfonso Davies, there are guys who can come in there and they'll whoop some what on the world stage. So I'm glad to see that. If for one thing, I was right about that a little bit. I don't know if it's going to mean a 2022 berth, but yeah.
No, we're going to get smacked.
No, Canadian soccer. Let's go.
All right. Let's see.
Wait, Stefano, the Italian, our resident Italian, had a take. Let's hear it.
I was just gonna say we have a lot of sports talent here in Canada, but just lack the development programs to. Someone just handed me some orange. My assistant just handed me orange juice. Hold on.
Hilarious. Also, shout out to Canadian women's soccer, because Canadian women's soccer is actually some of the.
Oh yeah, the Canadian women have been killing it for years.
Yeah.
I mean,
despite being underpaid and their coach, their coach.
This isn't that kind of podcast.
Look, I'm just saying, Canada soccer is just,
our resident anarchist, David.
This is Michael Siegel speaking. The Canadian Canada soccer is a disgrace.
Wow. Okay, let's move on because we got a lot of fights to talk about.
All right.
We don't want. I agree, it's an important topic, but another time. maybe on a time where a heavyweight title fight didn't happen last night.
Yeah, really.
The biggest fight in heavyweight UFC history. Notice how I said UFC because Fedor Krokop was number one. Fedor still number one heavyweight in the world, everybody.
Brock versus Kane? Come on.
Brock versus no. David, just take a seat, young man. Brock versus Kane. Brock versus Kane. Okay. All right. Brock versus Kane for the.
Can I do the? So Paige Van Zandt is signing with Bare Knuckle Boxing. By the way, guys, BKFC.
There goes that slow face.
Look, I advised her not to do this, man. As my girlfriend, I told her, Paige, don't do this. Don't do this, baby. Okay, don't do this to us. Okay, you're not gonna. That face, it's your number one asset. No, honestly, I think I heard it was a multi-million-dollar contract. I don't know because BKFC or Paige hasn't disclosed exactly what the contract is yet, but who knows? Maybe they'll get some fluff matches against her. Paige not really the boxing type. A lot more of a mixed martial artist who blends in and much more of a top game kind of grindy grappler. Yeah, man. BKFC always reminds me of the fighting pits in that show. What's the name of that show? Spartacus.
I thought I was the only one who watched that show.
Yeah, David, the fighting pits where the captain of the gladiators, that black guy, went to go commit suicide. That's what BKFC is to me. Okay, it's dirty, it's disgusting.
But it's necessary though.
Is it necessary for what? We were doing fine without them. I think if BKFC could develop some native talent that actually specializes in that style, okay. But right now it's just Bellator without grappling, except somehow dirtier.
That's hilarious.
Because there's no native talent. It's just old UFC fighters.
I like Bellator, but
I always thought. Sorry,
I'll say this just quickly to the point of native fighters. It's tough to be a native fighter in bare knuckle boxing because it's so brutal. How long are you going to get to develop? How many easy fights are you going to get where you can just start the other guy and kind of, work things out? Or if you're in a close match, what's the impact that's going to have on your career?
They have one guy actually, James Sweeney.
James
Sweeney.
Chris Liebman has also had a resurgence in his life doing it. So he's kind of sort of a native talent now. And
Yeah,
James Sweeney, and I love that kind of style. He'll like lull you to sleep with his hands, jab, lull you to sleep, jab,
Yeah,
switch, cross.
James Sweeney's kind of the one guy that I'm aware of. I'm not a big BKFC fan, but he's the one guy that I've seen that actually has a style kind of developed around bare knuckle where he'll just kind of swarm and tap the head and then dig to the body. And he fought guest to the podcast, Shoney Carter, in a bare knuckle match. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys have anything else to say about this?
Well, I just think that a lot of people were saying, I feel bad for Paige. Look how far she's fallen. I don't think this is a look how far she's fallen at all. Like she got paid a whole whack of dough. Wow, why am I struggling saying that? A whole whack of dough, to do this. Bellator was calling her. One was calling her. Like she definitely had offers, and she explored them and went to bare knuckle fighting.
I heard there was one promotion she could have signed with that would have made her a lot more money than any of the options you just discussed.
Which one?
OnlyFans.
Hey. Yeah, no, imagine it would not be beyond belief till we start getting fights on OnlyFans.
Fights on, I was not talking about fights, David.
Hey, you can do other things out there, okay? You can do other things. Okay. You can pay.
Oh, that actually leads me to music news. Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, they released that song, and Cardi B also now has an OnlyFans, but she said, and I quote, "I'm not posting no P, I'm not posting no T." So,
if you want to waste your money in a world of free porn, go right ahead, people.
She's not posting no P, she's not posting no T. But it's more concerning the song. The song got released. In less than a week, it's already become number one on both the Hot 100 and the Hip Hop Hot 100. So,
oh my God, it is such a garbage song, mind you. The fact that Ben Shapiro hates it makes me love it. Did you see that? You guys see that? He got humiliated. He said that
who Ben Shapiro is.
He's a clown, and he said that when a woman's undercarriage becomes moist, it's in fact a sign of infection. And the internet's been ripping on him since. So
that's really funny. That's really funny.
He's a conservative clown. But anyways.
Okay, so yeah, now the fighting ones. The UFC cuts. Evan Dunham got cut after being kind of ran through by Herbert Burns, who lost this weekend.
That Evan Dunham one was a shame to me, man. I'm a big fan.
I'm gonna look Evan Dunham.
Well, this one's interesting because again, like Evan Dunham, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, a guy who like is known to have a really slick guard actually. Like his body game is really slick. And I think just the UFC, yeah, like they just cut him. They're making cuts. It is what it is.
Let's pull up his record. He's lost his last 3, but before that he had a draw and 4 wins. I don't know, man. Evan Dunham's always he's never on a bit of a skid recently, but he's one of those guys like Lando where I think he's always in an entertaining fight. Had a draw against Benil Dariush before this losing streak. Yeah, it's too bad, man. I wish Evan Dunham well. And Tai Tuivasa is the other big name that got cut recently.
That was interesting to me because he is a bit of a fan favorite. The fans do like Tai. Sorry,
I don't know, man. I feel like Tai Tuivasa might have been no shot to Tai Tuivasa, who would definitely beat the crap out of any of us, but I feel like he might have been like a fan favorite when he first came on the scene and had those first few knockouts, but over the past couple of years, I think, we've kind of realized what his level and perhaps his ceiling, at least at this point, is right now. So I don't know. It kind of makes sense. What is surprising, though, is that the UFC usually likes to keep, especially heavyweights, just like keep them around just to throw them in fights. So, I'm surprised to see him go.
Well, big conspiracy. Tai Tuivasa connected to Mark Hunt, obviously, and UFC not exactly having a great relationship with Mark Hunt. So maybe that had I'm just speculating. Maybe that had something to do with it. But another thing is Tai Tuivasa, not exactly someone who I've seen a lot of dedication to work on his ground game, and that being a glaring weakness. You know, getting held by Survey Spivak in scarf hold for like the better part of a round. So I don't know, man.
I mean, in fairness, Scarfold kind of sucks. You're there forever, and no.
Well, there's two kinds of scarf holds. There's the one with the underhook, and then there's the one that doesn't work. And he was in the one that doesn't work.
But yeah, okay. So, but yeah, no, it was kind of interesting. Let's see. In terms of fighter announcements, these are big ones. So, Zabit versus Yair has been rescheduled. To, I believe, October 24th, but that's not actually the one I care about because, like, you knew that one was probably going to be rescheduled. Korean Zombie versus Brian Ortega has finally been announced.
Need this. We need this. We need this.
So it looks like the featherweight division is finally moving. I remember making a video on how it's not moving, and it's frustrating, but it's finally moving.
It's frustrating, especially because there's so many interesting matchups to be made, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had, like a lot of money to be made in this division. Like Calvin Kattar can't even get into the top 5 because despite like killing everyone else, everyone's got something lined up. So actually, you know what? A great matchup would be him versus Max Holloway. Like, I'd love to see how they would go. But regardless, yeah. Let's see. Okay, and that's pretty much it.
The fights, boys. The fights. Oh, my God. Wow. Oh, ooh, spicy.
Good night.
Great night of fights.
Wait,
Where should we start?
Okay, all right. We're going to get Jeremy's take at the end then.
Oh, sorry. Jeremy's take on what?
Let's get at the end because we haven't even gotten into the fights yet, but I'm sure Jeremy has a nice spicy take prepared for us.
We always say that, and then we miss Jeremy's take. So
no, we got it last time.
We got it last time.
It just was kind of.
Why doesn't Jeremy hop in on this whole debate here?
Jeremy, you're like women in the abortion debate. We should be listening to you, but nobody really wants to hear your voice.
Holy. What is happening?
I'm offended for the women.
I feel like Stefano literally just in his head, he's like, "What's the most offensive thing I could say?"
I am pro-abortion. I'm just saying.
Duh. That's what makes it even like more like problematic or like confusing. I don't know the words you use. It's just like, wait. Anyway. All right. Let's talk about
the end because I kind of don't even have one.
Okay.
If you don't have one, can I say something at the end?
Man, go ahead.
Related to foot stomps.
What?
Sure.
You can just say it now, Stefano.
No, let's talk about the fights first.
You're not
my real dad. You can't tell me what to do, okay?
I actually do have one. I'm just going to discuss my feelings on college football being canceled, but...
Well, that's a good one.
You want to wait to the end, actually, for that one? That's actually You want to wait to the end, or you want to talk about it now?
In terms of structure, we have no structure.
Let's just power through it now. So basically, it's looking like all college football is going to be canceled. It keeps dropping like flies. They're saying they want to move it to the spring. And just my whole feeling about the entire scenario is that this is very upsetting. Football was meant to be played in fall weather, and it's going to change the dynamic of campuses. Apparently, students are going back to campus, which seems like it's going to be. I feel like these institutions are probably squeezing as much money as they can out of the students. So this is very upsetting. It's gonna put a pause in all kinds of things like recruiting and everything like that. So. Yeah, this hurts. Like, not only was my season canceled, but college football is canceled. I don't get to see my LSU Tigers try and retain the championship, as well as my other team, Michigan, get curb stomped by Ohio State again. Also, I respect Coach Harbaugh as a coach, but I think he probably needs to go. And yeah, that's it. So all you college football fans out there and college fall sports fans, yeah, man, We're gonna be in mourning for the rest of 2020 and the foreseeable future.
This guy just made it seem like they just murdered somebody. What I will say is that I'm surprised that the universities didn't try and do some kind of like, Zoom, like football over Zoom kind of something over the season. Like the way they're
I
charging.
thought that was going to be serious, and then you just took it a
No,
whole.
for sure. No, I'm serious. I'm deadly serious. The way people like universities are charging students full tuition for what is essentially 15% or 20% of a student experience, I'm surprised they didn't do the same to like football, like or
why?
athletes. Yeah.
You know why? Because hot take, universities in the States, they're not really schools. They're just it's just all cover so that they don't have to pay athletes for sports and make money off of it.
So are Canadian universities, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
That was the least convincing cough.
He's like
David's like
Canadian university stock.
Hilarious.
So can we? That was actually an interesting, good, well thought out take. I mean that. I'm not going to rip on you this time, Jeremy, because I thought that was actually.
Yeah, like you did my vegan take. You guys.
Jeremy, your vegan take. I'm like, who replaced Jeremy? Who is this guy?
By the way, the time is 25:01, so just mark that down.
For the beliefs of this guy.
The recording time is different for the record, so I got you though. I'll beat that out.
Okay,
Right.
guys, 30 minutes in, we still haven't talked about the epic heavyweight clash, the second most important heavyweight fight of all time.
Why can't you just say it's the most important fight?
Because you know what? I don't buy into the media hype because Fedor's the best heavyweight of all time, bar none. And until I'm not even going to continue.
Wait, but why does it have to be the most important? Like, isn't it just the most because it's right now, and those are the two biggest guys?
That's what the UFC would have you believe. Yeah. They think you're David. They think the average MMA fan is a goldfish with a 3-second memory. Hey guys, this is the best fight of all time. Hey guys, this is the most important. No,
like,
I care about history. I care about history.
Fight Cain Velasquez. Like, we've had big fights in heavyweight. Or
no, like this one's bigger. Stop. Like let's be honest.
But Fyodor versus Krokop, number 1.
Yeah, so, the guy with the 2-2 record in the UFC because he was juicing all of Pride. Yeah, for sure.
If you ever spit on Krokop's legacy like that again,
you know what? It's true. I should
2-2 in the UFC. Oh yeah. Like why don't we bring back some old legends to fight in the UFC long after their prime has been finished and concluded?
Yeah, let me guess. And you think Rampage wasn't a legend either? Like,
no, Rampage at least went to the UFC.
Okay,
did well.
Guys, can we talk about the fight?
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
So Cormier versus Miocic. Let's start top down because I thought the Cormier fight. A lot of people are focusing on the wrong things. I thought this was a great fight, full of something we don't really see in the heavyweight division often. A chess match on the feet.
Yes.
I thought this was wonderful. And because these guys knew each other so well, you saw them kind of almost fight some of their habits. Like Miocic was really planting and went to some of the clinching like a lot. And instead of going over under like he likes, he went double under. And that really threw Cormier for a loop in the fight. Meanwhile, Cormier actually threw Stipe for a loop by pretending to hand trap every once in a while, going to his bot, then coming conventional style guard, and coming in with a jab, rolling his shoulder over, his right shoulder over, and then throwing the left hook, right hook, which was interesting. That
was phenomenal.
Yeah. No, they did a lot of interesting stuff, and you don't really see that in the heavyweight division. And we're gonna get to another heavyweight matchup that actually was kind of very chess matchy too. And I really just want to say the heavyweight division as a whole, especially at the top, it does look like there are some guys who are evolving a bit. Sorry, David.
No. I'm not doing that to get attention. I just wanted to say that when I said this a couple of weeks ago, I believe Stefano laughed at me and was like, "Ha, this is silly MMA guy. You don't know about MMA." But no, I do believe like the heavyweights are like getting better and are getting at least the very, very top guys like are getting way more technical.
The top 5 guys.
Ever been.
The 5 guys at the top of the division. By the way, the way I felt about this fight, I feel like it was like watching your favorite band get back together and play all their best hits. And like each hit was like a different technique I was waiting for. It's like Cormier pulled out the single collar tie into the underhook and right hand. I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorites. And then, Stipe Miocic sticking, going back to his early career in those early rounds with the low kick against Cormier. Yeah, man, a lot of adaptation. Miocic using excellent wrist control to prevent Cormier from coming over the top. But Cormier still managed to make those adjustments and hit Miocic out of the clinch. And, man, does Miocic have a chin.
Yeah, Miocic, that's the thing about people that, like, I think people need to understand. This is a guy who took Francis Ngannou's best shot. Now, granted, he kind of staggered Francis Ngannou a little bit, like, by hitting him with some feints and the takedown threat. But this is still a guy who can take a shot.
I was just wondering why DC didn't eventually take it to the ground. I'm listening to the broadcast or the commentators talk about the fight as it's going on, and they even brought it up. I was thinking about it as they were fighting, and they said that he was faking the takedown and then trying to land that overhand right in the clinch. But I'm thinking, like, why doesn't he take it to the ground? And one thing I've noticed is that DC will land a submission on the ground, which makes sense if he's a wrestler, or he'll try and knock you out standing up. But I was wondering how come he doesn't try some ground and pound? Like, I think his corner even brought it up too. It seems like it could be a strategy that works for him. He's big, he can wrestle, and he was perceived to be the stronger fighter, even though to me it looked like Miocic was the stronger fighter last night. I was baffled by that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Tactic choice. What happened?
In his early career, he did go for quite a bit of ground and pound. The difficulty is, I'm sure he would have loved to have gotten some ground and pound off. It's a big part of his arsenal. Problem being, when you open yourself up to throw big strikes, you create space in which your opponent can escape. So you have to pick and choose your shots, unless there's a big skill differential. But to your point, yeah, I think especially in the later rounds, Cormier would have been done well to go to the shot more. And he did pursue the clinch at several times in the later round, right? Forced Miocic to the fence with not much success. I would have liked to have seen him shoot more of those snatch single and high crotch takedowns out in the open, which he's famous for. Instead, he seemed more inclined to walk Stipe to the fence. Stipe would often turn him around and either separate or spend a lot of the round there. Who knows? I mean, how badly Cormier was hurt at the end of that second round. Could that have factored into it, right? Reluctance?
Yeah.
Maybe he's fighting on autopilot.
Too,
I feel like Miocic was fucking
That was a hellacious right hand. First of all, sorry, guys, just quickly, I don't want to ramble, but I love that double right hook that Stipe landed. That is one of my favorite punches. That right hook, roll under, right hook. You can cover so much distance and stop someone from exiting it out like he did with Cormier there.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? That was a Cormier round, in my opinion, until that right hook happens.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden.
Oh, man, there's so many sub points. Okay, let's go with that one. First of all, did you think it was 3-2, or what do you think about the scores? Because I had it was pretty, like, clearly Miocic for me.
I thought it was round for me. Round two went to, despite the right hand that took him down the second round, I thought that it was 4-1 Miocic.
It's hard to say because I think there's an argument to make the third round a 10-8. I'm a big fan of 10-8s, but I don't know. I'll have to watch it again because I'm such a huge fan of Cormier.
Cormier is a big fan of taking that third round off in championship fights.
Regardless if that's the case, if I take a round off and I can't get any offense going and my opponent dictates the round, you still got to rule it a 10-8, regardless of what my motives are. His motives are, yeah.
I had it one. I had Cormier winning 1-4 and Stipe winning 2 barely, only because of the knockdown, and 3 because 3 was obviously Stipe. And then after into the 5th, Stipe obviously took that one home through clinch work and picking his shots. So yeah, that's where I had it. But again, I am a little biased.
Guys, how about the body jabs landed by? That was a big surprise for me for both of these fighters. Excellent body jabs to the solar plexus by Stipe, which I thought that was a good adjustment and may have prevented Cormier from getting the clinch more often, because if you know anything about a good jab to the solar plexus, it's just kind of like a reset button on your opponent's combination, right? Just offsets their timing, creates a little frame to just, bop, they're trying to come in, you create a little frame, stop them in their tracks, and Cormier not able to get effective pressure going like he did in the second and first fight. But Cormier also made good use of that body jab. I thought he was one of the combinations I liked, he was really mixing in his left hook well. He'd go body jab, left hook upstairs, and then he'd go jab to the head, short little left hook to the face, and then land that boom, that right hand over the top. Those were two combinations that I thought were landing consistently for him over the night. But excellent work with the body jab for very different purposes. Cormier more offensively to set up the left hook, and Stipe just to kind of reset that pressure. Oh my God, man! Are we talking about heavyweight? Is this a heavyweight fight?
No, like this was
crazy.
Excellent. This is why I'm kind of surprised at you being a little more, what's the word? A little more kind of dismissive of this being a discussion of who's the greatest, because this was, I think, one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen, period.
Sure. I'm not saying this, dude, second comes right after first, like Buzz Aldrin once said. But Fedor is still the GOAT, man. What he was able to do, the run he was able to have in Pride, and how strong the heavyweight division was at the time is unchallenged. Now, Stipe could really cement himself as the number one heavyweight of all time. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he can do. There's a new crop of strong contenders coming up, so I'd like to see what he can do.
I mean, if he beats Ngannou again, which looks like that's going to be the fight, I mean, like, where else do you go from here, right? But yeah, no, that's fair.
Cyril Gane.
No, I wanted to say Cyril Gane so bad earlier when you talked about.
This is the Cyril Gane appreciation hour.
Right. Somehow, some way, we'll be like, where's Cyril Gane fit into all of this? But...
No, for real. No, but I thought it was. Wait, I just wanted to say that. Shouts out to DC, and shouts out to Stipe. A lot of people felt like the eye poke changed the fight. Do you feel like that had any like?
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, but like I think it made DC more tentative, but I also think that was to his benefit in the fourth, because in the fourth he kind of shut Stipe down a little bit.
That was his best round.
Yeah.
Almost apart from the first, either the first or second, where he actually like dominated the round.
Yeah. So I feel like he dominated the second. That's the crazy thing. I think he dominated the second until that double hook combo.
I agree. I want to get Jeremy's opinion on this, because I'm surprised that you said it didn't affect it. For me, it looked like DC couldn't see out of that eye, and in the later rounds, it seemed like Stipe was landing his right hand at will. Like there really wasn't any reaction to the right hand. DC, who usually has that exaggerated head movement rolling away from the shots, it seemed like he just ate those standing up. And visibly, I mean, he looked like someone took one of those googly eyes you see in arts and crafts and just like inserted it into his eye socket. That was nasty. He's a torn cornea.
His eye must be touching. What was that?
He has a torn cornea.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. His eye was touching the back of his brain, but
he could see his thoughts.
I didn't think it changed the trajectory of the fight. It changed his tactics clearly, but the trajectory of the fight, I think it was going to remain the same. But I do want to take this time to say that Daniel Cormier is an absolute warrior. Like a lot of guys, they'll like in football, you'll see they'll play hurt, but they'll be like, Coach, I can go, but you're still getting driven 5 yards, 10 yards off the ball. Like DC's a warrior for getting poked in the eye and coming back and still making it a fight, attempting to win. So I just want to say that it did change his tactics. I think once he got poked in the eye, I think that's when you start to see him try and utilize his wrestling a lot more, probably because it's so natural to him. It's like, I don't need to do this with sight. I can do this just by feel. So I think that's when he kind of abandoned the tactic of standing and exchanging blows with Stipe. But I don't think that it changed the trajectory of how the fight was going. I think it would have remained 4-1. That's how I interpreted the question David was asking.
Yeah, kind of hard to say, because we can't exactly. It'd be nice if we could put it into a simulator and see how, without an eye poke, it would affect the trajectory. It's just,
I do understand the whole point of like it doesn't change his trajectory, but I also think that look, DC was dodging that right hand really well until that third. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah. I tend to be forgiving of Mark Goddard for missing it as well. It's a big mistake. And you guys know I'm tend to be the hardest on referees out of the four of us, but in the moment with punches moving quickly, I guess it's difficult to tell, man.
You know what? When I first saw the broadcast, I didn't even realize it was a poke to the eye till the replay. I thought DC was just complaining because of that right hand, because it looked like a right hand got DC hard, but then you see the replay and it's a poke to the eye and then a miss with the right hand, and so you're thinking, oh, okay, DC's just getting touched up here and he's complaining, right? But it wasn't the case.
So, one question kind of. Now that this matchup's behind us, I don't know about you guys, but I would really like to see DC hang up and call it a career. As personally, DC's one of my favorite fighters ever, especially modern fighters. I don't want to see him go past his expiry date. And although I would have liked to have seen him get a win in his retirement fight, personally, I think I've gotten everything I need to see out of his career, and I don't want him to come back. I think he's got a great job as a broadcaster.
I think, dare I say, if I may just whisper it, number one, I respect DC so much. I respect all fighters. I need to say that. But I thought, if we're being real with ourselves, DC looked every bit of like 41 years old out there. Like, he looked considerably not. What was interesting, like, he had like really good hand speed, so he clearly has a natural athleticism, so he clearly hasn't slowed down in that capacity. But I felt like towards the end, especially like in the third round, he was definitely starting to get a little bit tired in a way that I feel like perhaps he wouldn't before.
He does himself, but not like that. Yeah, I hear you. Not like that.
And I gotta say it, man, just out loud. And this is from a layman's perspective, but man, I know he's always been a big guy, but he's a professional fighter, and he was looking rotund out there.
Sloppy.
Man, like, it was bad, and he knew it because he was lifting up like his pants to cover his gut. Like, I don't know if that was like an intent.
Don't fat shame DC.
I'm not gonna fat shame him.
That's his. Hey, that's the man's aesthetic. He's always looked like that.
I feel like he could have been at 185, and 185 he'd still look fat. Like, that's just the way his body.
It's one thing to look, but he didn't always look like that though. Like,
no, it's a good
I don't think he gassed. I don't think he gassed in a substantial way where he wasn't offering up significant offense towards Stipe in the fourth and fifth round. So I'm not a big fan of that accusation that he gassed. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Obviously,
why was he putting up a fight though, Stefano? Was he putting up a fight because he was still like in physical fitness, or was it because he's just such a great technician?
Do you know that? Hold on. Can either of us definitively answer that question? We can't. He was dropped and concussed at the end of that second round. How much of that will that take out of your gas tank? A ton. That shocks your nervous system, man.
That's a good point.
I'll just say, like, I don't think that was DC's best performance. I think prime DC would have honestly won that fight. I think he would have definitely. No, not to take anything away from Stipe, because Stipe was still amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Physically looked great.
Yeah, Stipe had nothing wrong with it. And let's not forget, Stipe is like, what, 36, 37? Like, he's getting up there too. I still think like the Stipe versus Ngannou fight is one of the best. It's almost like and you guys will enjoy this, like a MMA black belt versus like an MMA white belt in terms of like things you should be doing in an MMA fight. In terms of how like Stipe absolutely schooled Ngannou when it came to like wrestling and grappling.
Took him to school.
Like,
took him to school.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. So I still think like this performance was a long way away from that. However, I still think on the night, I just think DC, and maybe I've already heard too many takes about this, but I just think DC maybe wasn't at the peak of his powers last night, and because of that reason, that was why he couldn't get over Stipe. And I think a prime DC might have been able to offer up a more of a fight, in my opinion.
But see, I feel like we do this a lot with Stipe, where a lot of people like, you know what? I remember being asked, "Hey, who's your top 10? Like your top 10 list?" And Stipe wasn't on it, and I don't know why he wasn't on it. I think part of it was because it's like I was being asked out on the spot, and so I might have forgotten. But I think part of it is because we tend to discredit Stipe, not on purpose, but it's like when you take a look at his competition, an aging Fabrizio Verdum to win the title. Then he takes on
Wait, Fabrizio Verdum's Asian?
aging.
I know, I'm just
Aging.
trolling.
Jesus. Okay, but he takes on. He then takes on.
You can't help but laugh. Go on.
Then he takes on an aging JDS, right? And then it's
Now I'm just picturing all of these guys, but Asian.
Yes. And I'm thinking of their names.
Go on.
By,
And
like, the
and,
Asian
and
equivalent,
also an
sorry, go on.
Asian Alistair Overeem. You're completely
an
correct.
aging Alistair Overeem, and then he goes Alistair Overeem first, then JDS first. Then he takes on the Ngannou who clearly wasn't ready and is not the Ngannou now, right? And then he takes on DC, loses to DC. Then after DC is, angling for fights with Brock Lesnar and trying to make money, he then goes back to Stipe. Stipe takes a 3-round butt whooping, and then, one adjustment later, he wins the title back. And then DC, clearly like older and aging DC who's over the hill a bit, he beats him. And so it's like you take a look at the competition, you're like, well, is he the best though?
Well,
And
Mike, this is exactly my point. Why I still think Fedor is the GOAT, because a lot of these opponents that he's beating, and this is no discredit to Stipe, because this is the state of the heavyweight division, right? He's cleaning up after the remnants of pride in a way, right? Like these are fighters that had their prime, and 10 years ago, and we can say that heavyweights peak later, which they do. And again, yeah, it's no fault to Stipe, but honestly, when you were mentioning that, I completely agreed with you. But in the back of my head, it clicked. I had the same kind of thought process walking through Ngannou's career, right? For me, as I was witnessing his rise to the title, other than Curtis Blades, I kept asking myself, okay, when is this guy going to get a legitimate challenge? I want to see him challenge against an opponent. He keeps knocking out these old legends who are kind of past it, but I guess he's faced Rosenstruik and Blades twice at this point, but the same kind of thought process. Well, an Asian JDS, right? So the same kind of thought process was going through my head. The same kind of considerations. Mike is so done with everyone's crap today, specifically mine. But
I love
yeah.
it. Don't.
You get what I'm saying though, right? It's
no,
just
and that's the thing
division.
is that like part of me is like we got to stop doing this with Miocic and at some point just give him, and I think sometimes we do this with Henry Cejudo as well. But JDS, not JDS, sorry, Stipe Miocic is the one where I'm like, we do this with him a lot, right? Where we go, well, the other guy didn't come prepared that day. It's like, how about no? Stipe is just really good. He pivots really well. He's one of the few heavyweights who doesn't back himself up to the cage.
Yes.
He's got a great straight right off the pivot or standing or going backwards, right? I think forwards needs a little work, but whatever. Like, he's one of the best of all time. He could kick my ass going sideways, so who cares? And like, I think at some point we gotta give Stipe credit. Like maybe Stipe was doing things like again, going double under this time and throwing DC for a loop. DC, the Olympian wrestler, for a loop up against the fence.
He's basics done to perfection. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah,
That being said, Daniel Cormier, we at the Leg Kick wish you a happy retirement. Good luck in your future endeavors, and thank you for an incredible combat sports career and.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Thank you.
First
yeah,
ballot.
absolutely. But I just gonna say one quick take on Daniel Cormier. Man, if you don't get that EA UFC 4 ad out of my face, did you see the one with Daniel Cormier where he's playing as himself versus Stipe?
No.
All right, let's move on.
It was hilarious, but it was also cringy. But it's hilarious.
And also, shouts out to all those people who watched like the early prelims, because before the fight started, Megan O'Leary and John Anik did one of the saddest promos for the EA shirts that everybody was wearing last night, it looked like they were being held by like a firing squad. Like it was crazy. Like they looked like hostages. It was crazy. John Anik, I believe, said something like, yeah, thank goodness we're calling the fights and not a video game tonight. Like, man, he was so salty. Shouts out.
Oh,
to those
yes.
guys. Anyway, that's my rant.
So, in our Coco main, an Asian Junior Dos Santos fought
We're not going
Jairzinho.
to talk about Cheeto versus.
Oh, we will. I just wanted to say an Asian Junior Dos Santos again. It's a funny image. So, yeah.
For the record, I think JDS looked as good as we've seen in recent memory, but whatever.
I completely agree. I
agree.
But
I was
I
actually
just want to
surprised.
talk quickly on the Cheeto versus Sean O'Malley. Like, quickly, one question. Was that more Sean beat himself, or was that Cheeto beat Sean?
I think, here's what I think. I think up until that injury, Cheeto was doing quite well, and I kind of called this before the fight that he was going to have some problems for O'Malley that O'Malley hadn't faced up until this date. Savvy veteran, an excellent pressure fighter, dangerous in certain realms that I think that a lot of Sean O'Malley's opponents haven't been able to bring to him, the clinch and the ability to secure it. I think he was doing a good job of staying patient, not rushing in and repeatedly kicking the legs, and was getting his offense working, getting those attritive techniques out there that are going to present Sean O'Malley troubled in the later rounds. Now, as far as the finish being completely as a result of Cheeto Vera, I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that.
Yeah, no. I thought it was a complete fluke. In fact, what do you guys think happened? Because I've seen two parallel kind of narratives. One is what Stefano was saying in terms of, in fact, that I even saw a clip on Twitter where somebody had picked a specific sequence where they think Sean O'Malley actually, I think he kicked.
Oh, you're talking about the Weasel. The Weasel picked at like 2:45 in the first, where like Sean hurt himself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he gets his kick chance, then he all of a sudden like he can't balance. But I've also seen another clip where he pretty much goes over his ankle, like front forward, and he like that's apparently how he damaged it. So what do you guys think happened?
Sorry, David, which of those clips came first?
The Weasel's clip came first.
No, earlier in the fight.
Yeah, okay. So what the Weasel's theory is, and I'm a big fan of him. I message him on Twitter. He has a pretty big YouTube channel, and what the Weasel's kind of implying here, he fully says he says speculation. I'm not 100% sure. Disclaimer, right? What he says is that Cheeto kicks Sean behind the knee, and everyone knows there's a nerve behind the knee. I can't remember. It's like it starts with a P, but there's this nerve makes it hard to balance for a couple seconds on your knee. And what he's saying is Sean was having trouble bouncing on the knee, and then when he finally puts weight, he rolls over his feet, right?
That's what he was saying?
I don't know if that's the same guy we're talking about.
I thought it was like a checked kick.
Right?
Mike, the nerve is the popliteal fossa, I think.
Yeah, some along that line. Yeah.
I'm definitely mispronouncing that, but
you definitely are, but it's okay. The point is that like that's what I heard. That's what I was hearing, and if that's the case, I don't necessarily subscribe. Like, so what Weasel goes on to say is that if that's the case, then Cheeto beat Sean clean. I think that's a stretch. I don't think I've been kicked behind the knee before. I've had that like tingly sensation before. I don't immediately just start rolling on my ankle. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a stretch.
Mike, it can happen. In my last camp, before my last fight, I took, shouts out to Seiji, down at, what was that gym even called? One that Connor Rideout's out of. Shouts out to Connor Rideout.
Oh, yeah. The one west, right?
Yeah. So, long story short, Seiji kicked me hard with a calf kick, and my leg shut down. Like it can happen, man. You get caught in that area and like it just ceases to function anymore, So it's always going to be a question mark. We're not going to be able to definitively say either way. I just think that we shouldn't underrate the fact that early in the fight, and this isn't definitive or anything, early in the fight, I think Cheeto was putting in good work.
He was,
Yeah,
but
no,
I
he
don't
was
think
just
Sean was
phenomenal.
necessarily being outclassed either. Like
No,
it's
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I
No.
agree with
And I
that.
think a lot of people might have even scored that round for Sean up until that moment.
What?
What? Oh, okay, my bad. Um,
no, like
but
honestly, it was too close to call. But like, yeah, Sean had two good calf kicks that like gave Cheeto some issues. Cheeto was putting it on with pressure, and then even towards the end when Sean goes to like throw some punches, a couple of them land, but he just loses his balance because
yeah,
he can't put pressure on his feet. So it's interesting. Like, look, I don't necessarily. I think Cheeto doesn't need to be discredited. I think Cheeto was definitely, again, when we were talking about the preview, I said this was the walk before you can run matchup for Sean. Can Sean get over the hurdle? And he did it. There it is. The fact is, he did it. But at the same time, you know,
just
he was
Very
in,
quickly, very quickly. David Marlon Vera doubled up nearly on Sean O'Malley in strikes in that matchup.
okay. I would have to go back and rewatch it. But
yeah.
from
I'm on UFCstats.com right now.
But
no,
at
no, I'm
what
not.
point though? Like that's the thing. At what point in that first one was it after he rolled his ankle? Clearly, like
Hard to say.
you know.
But at, at
But
the at the same time, like, man, I
also,
guess go on, David.
okay, I just want to just give a really quick 1 minute to the kind of promo they cut for Sean O'Malley this past week with Stephen A. Smith comparing him to who's that? Lamar Jackson.
Who the hell's Lamar Jackson?
Football star right now, star quarterback for Jeremy's Baltimore Ravens.
What is this guy talking about, man? That was one of the funniest things. And Ronda Rousey also, and Conor McGregor. So he's Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, and Lamar Jackson.
But you
Why
know
do
what?
people bring this guy on any sport? Like, maybe he has
But
some knowledge in some other sports, but as far as MMA,
though,
He was talking about the it factor. I get it. No, I get what he was talking about. I
yeah, I
get
was
what
about to
but
say
like,
in
can you
fairness,
make
the
more?
context is a little like I've seen it in
But the
context.
way they cut that was
Still though, man,
crazy.
can you make more vague, meaningless comparisons? Like he's
That's
Literally.
like
what
Connor
Stephen.
and Ronda and Mike Tyson and George St.
And
Pierre and
also,
Anderson Silva,
yo,
all
no
combined into one
disrespect.
with funny
UFC
colored
team,
hair.
UFC team, please hire the Leg Kick podcast, specifically Michael and Stefano, to cut a better promo
Yes,
or at
do
least
it.
an easily good one because man, the way they just sliced pictures of Lamar Jackson spinning just
You
out of
guys
context.
you guys are acting like Stephen A. is the one who wrote it.
Well, he's the one who said it.
No, but the thing about Stephen A is like in context though, like this is the thing with MMA fans, what they do with Stephen A. Smith is because they don't understand like what he is, and sometimes they don't understand him, and they do this with a lot of black guys too. I find a lot of MMA fans do this
Oh,
with a lot of black guys. No,
stop.
hold on. Let me explain.
Oh, wow,
They do
we're
this with a
going
lot of
there.
black guys. I'm going here. They do this with a lot of black guys. It's because they don't understand what they're trying to say because they have a different way of speaking. They have a different tone. They do a different way of hyperbole.
Bombastically.
What they end
Don't
up
do
doing?
that.
No, you know what I'm saying? See Tyron Woodley, see Quentin Rampage Jackson, see there's a lot of them out here
Wait,
that
hold
they
on.
do this with. Because they don't try to understand them, they just laugh at them. They're now the butt of the jokes every single time.
Specifically the
problem-
black guys, right?
Well, a lot of times it's the black guys, sometimes it's the Russians they do it to too as well. So it's not
Hold
just
on.
black.
So you're saying they do it to DC, Dean Thomas, all those black guys on
A
commentary?
lot of people forget how hated DC was until he joined the broadcast team. So
That's
it's not
true.
like
And to be honest, like
And that's
DC
because he was
rating
black.
to me
That was
right
because
now.
he was black. People hated DC.
no,
Look, I'm not saying.
It's not because he's black.
It's
No, I don't even want to
because
get
they
into
failed
the.
to understand him. They
Oh my
failed
god!
to
Like,
try to
can we
understand
not
him.
get
They
into
did
this
not try to
weird
understand him.
nebulous, like
No,
That's
weird?
what I'm trying to
Stefano.
say.
I think that Michael is actually raising a real point, and it is something that a lot of people, especially in like sports journalism, face in general. I think Michael's frozen. But on Stephen A. Smith,
Sorry,
I
I'm
think
here.
I have
specific.
something to add to this after David's done
Sure,
speaking.
I just think this specific criticism about Stephen A. Smith, especially when it comes to MMA, is that this is not a sport where you can be over the top and bombastic and disrespectful. And I feel like sometimes he crosses the line between critical thinking and just entertainment and parody. And I feel like even though he's being authentic to himself, I think that sometimes the way he even says his takes are just so out there. I don't even want to make like silly or fun. They're just like
No, there's
But
there's no room for that in MMA,
But
man. He's
I
a
just want
fool.
to say
There's
that
plenty
I
of
feel
people that could have his job that would provide much more insight with those promos, and there's just no people have no tolerance for that in MMA. We have no tolerance for it. Give me Dan Hardy,
not
give me Dean
true.
Thomas.
I'm just gonna say that I feel that the two of you are projecting from the Donald Cerrone Conor McGregor fight onto this particular
No.
experience
No, no.
because Stephen A comparing Sean O'Malley to Lamar Jackson for one is not a stretch. Like Sean O'Malley had a year off. Lamar Jackson had a year to learn under Joe Flacco. Lamar Jackson has these intangibles that makes him successful, and Sean O'Malley has no martial arts background, but yet is successful in the MMA.
Does have a martial arts background.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have a traditional martial arts background, is what's said.
Hold on.
Absolutely has a
He
martial
learned
arts.
all this stuff in MMA.
And
That's not fair.
That's a
He did
martial
learn all
arts.
this stuff in
that's just to
MMA.
respond to David. My other point is that all sporting analysts who have an expertise in one area try to compare it to whatever sports analysis that they're doing in other areas. I do it with football on this podcast. Max Kellerman compares all sports to boxing when he's on First Take. But Stephen A compares a lot of things to basketball, football when he's
Jeremy,
on First Take.
I think you could do a far better job of that, and I think
sure.
you provide far better analogies than Stephen Smith ever does.
And
I think
Let's not get twisted.
I think
Stephen A. Smith sucks. I think Stephen A. Smith sucks. For the record, I think Stephen A. Smith sucks as a martial arts analyst. I just think that why people are making fun of him and what they should be making fun of him are two different things, right? What you should be making fun of him for is that he doesn't know the sport. What people are making fun of him for is because they fail to try to understand him, and further, they fail to understand black culture in America to what he's saying.
No,
that's
man.
why people
No,
and that's
completely
why
disagree.
Because
I
with
don't
the Donald
think so,
Cerrone
man.
thing, here's the thing with the Donald Cerrone thing. Let's get something out of the way with the Donald Cerrone thing. He was right. He was right.
No, he wasn't.
Luke Thomas goes on his.
No.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was because Donald Cerrone admitted it himself, and then Luke Thomas goes on a 20-minute diatribe about how Stephen A. is still wrong, even though he's right because Donald
Cerrone not right.
Admitted himself. So
no, not even close. Stephen A. Smith accused him of quitting. He accused him of. Donald didn't. What are you talking about? You're calling MMA fans racist for hating this.
I'm not calling Donald Cerrone a quitter.
Hold on. I gave you your time. He's an absolute. He's a buffoon. He knows nothing about the sport. And when MMA fans see this man up there who is clearly out of his element, obviously they're going to jump on him for everything that he says, whether it's a legitimate criticism or not, because he doesn't deserve to be up there. And he's taking away this job from far more qualified people because he says some hot takes, he has some spicy memes, and then everybody, he's publicity.
And not only that, Stefano, I feel like especially as he's recently become aware how memeable he is, he's starting to play up, kind of like Shannon Sharp, play up to the meme. And don't get me wrong, Michael, I agree with you. It's like an authentic example of blackness, if you will, in America. And it does make certain people uncomfortable. But as a whole, I don't think that's where the criticism is coming from.
I'll level with you.
I think Stephen A. Smith sucks. I think Stephen A. Smith sucks. Like, let's get this straight, right? And I'm with you there. Where I deviate is a lot of times people take him out of context, right?
Yes.
They take him out of context, and they don't. Yeah, like but
he didn't cut that promo. But in a way, he did cut that promo.
No,
can I level with you? Can I level with you?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Stephen A. Smith is the hill you're willing to die on. I do think that there is absolutely a racist component to why people have a dislike for, let's say, Tyron Woodley. 100%. I feel like there have been other fighters that.
Rampage.
I haven't seen much hate for Rampage. I think he's pretty beloved. But
they treat Rampage like he's a joke, right?
Well, he's a goofball. Rampage genuinely is a goofball. Rampage is a funny guy, you know.
But you know what? You're right, because you also have Rashad Evans, who is like a completely nobody in MMA is going to say anything bad about Rashad Evans.
But that's because Rashad does not really Rashad does not really Like,
Don't
no,
do it.
I'm not calling him. I'm not saying anything, but he's not like Tyron Woodley and Rashad Evans. Like, if you're comparing like cultural differences, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, when someone tries to,
Yeah,
bring a different culture,
I think it's
I'm
a
not even necessarily
subconscious
saying
bias.
it's a racist thing. I think it's a cultural rejection thing.
I think it's I think it's a subconscious bias, right? I feel like it's not like a conscious kind of openly I hate black people thing. It's like a subconscious bias where they're going to have less tolerance if a black man is hitting on these certain talking points, right? He's perceived as like a whiny kind of complainer, Tyron Woodley, who you know, who's but if he was white and in the same position, probably MMA fans wouldn't be accusing him of having a victim complex. I agree. As far as the Stephen A. Smith thing, I think there's completely legitimate reasons for people to hate him.
It's not legitimate though. I think again, I'm gonna say this for like the fifth time.
I'm going to counter with the exact same thing I countered with. People, anything that comes out of his mouth, because he's a buffoon, people are going to jump on. When you hate someone, you hate someone.
He's
I
not
don't like that, but he's just.
There is no other voice more synonymous with sports than Stephen A. Smith. Maybe he doesn't know all sports. I never hear him dipping his hand in hockey or NASCAR. He's not a buffoon though. You're not gonna.
Well, what I will say though, Jeremy,
He's
is
a buffoon.
No,
He
he's not a
spreads
buffoon,
himself
but
too thin. That's the thing.
I will
Can
say
we-
that that's a problem though.
But
Like,
I'm sorry. What?
he can't be the synonymous voice for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that. But to call him a buffoon and say he doesn't have the intellect to at least learn a sport, I think Michael's right here.
I didn't say intellect.
I think Michael's right here. I think he just spreads himself too thin and doesn't have the
requisite knowledge of the
And
sport.
I don't know if you guys watched his Jesus and Mero interview. He was on there recently, I think like last week or so. Man, different kind of respect because once again, you take for granted when you see all these larger than life personalities and characters on the screen. But let's not forget, this is a guy who didn't go to like NYU or like Harvard or any of these really popular universities. He didn't have a journalism degree. Like, this is a guy who graduated with a lit degree and was like, you know what, I'm going to make some money by covering sports. So he's worked his way from doing local sports. Like, he's living the dream. You know what I mean? Like, he's did local sports to, like, radio shows to
I just
TV
feel like
shows.
if we're going to make fun of Stephen A. Smith, it's the same thing with, like, what I say with a lot of these guys. And I've said this argument with a bunch of these guys. If we're going to make fun or we're going to be disparaging of somebody, let's do it for the right reasons. And I feel like the MMA community does not do it for the right reasons.
I disagree. I'm gonna jump on something Jeremy said. Jeremy, if the UFC called you up tomorrow and said you're going to be doing a UFC promo or you're going to be doing fighter interview or whatever, what's the first thing you do?
I would talk to the UFC aficionados, that's a Stephen A. Smith word, about the sport, and then I would do it because I want that check.
There you go. Boom. You said it. You do your research, and that's
I'm not spread as thinly as Stephen A. Smith.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're a professional. Do your job. If you're hired for a job, do your research. And I would make the same claim. I would make the same. But Mike, and I think he's in the same situation as Mike Goldberg. And I think a lot of people jumped on Mike Goldberg for things that they shouldn't have jumped on him as well. Same thing. Mike Goldberg, to an even worse degree. If you're a professional and you're hired for a job, do your research. Don't come in there.
Mike Goldberg was only doing MMA. Mike Goldberg wasn't being taken out of context, and Mike Goldberg wasn't being memeable for things he said because he said a little black. Okay, so
It's not because he says it black though. It's because he says it so bombastically. Come on, Michael. Don't
stay off.
Hold on
a second.
Like,
so
come on, man. Don't do this. We can move on soon. But like,
you're gonna pretend that like saying things people have not used bombastic as a term to disparage black people in the past, aka PK Subban. Like what are we talking about here?
I don't know who PK Subban is.
Like, this is not the hill you want to die on, man. Let's
Can we
move on?
Let me just say this.
I really want to
all in agreement. He sucks. He sucks as an MMA.
So why are we even talking? Can we move on?
I just think that a lot of times people are doing it for the wrong reason.
Thought we had 20 minutes on Stephen A. Smith. Let's go.
Let's move on, man. My favorite Japanese fighter fought in the Coco main event, Junior Dos Santos against Jairzinho Rosenstruik. Wow.
It's Jairzinho, first off. But
Yeah, you're a
okay.
Rosenstruck.
Why are you big?
What?
Yo, Michael is
Man,
actually mad.
what's going on with me today? I just realized I am such
Mike,
a
dude,
busy
do
guy
you need a
today.
hug? Do you need a hug?
He
I'm gonna come
really
over
just
there and give you a big hug, man. You need a hug.
Actually.
Yeah, man, I agree with everyone's assessment of this fight that it's the best we've seen Junior look in a while because he didn't force the fight. He was patient. He, like a fine wine, he gave that fight time to air. And one of my favorite dynamics in all of martial arts took place in this fight. The jab versus the low kick. Because I am a big proponent of the jab, but in MMA, when you're standing on the outside and you're jumping in with that jab, the double jab and that body jab, all of which that Junior Dos Santos uses excellently, you're at risk of being countered as you step in with the low kick. And Jairzinho Rosenstruck I'm gonna take these damn glasses off, was acutely aware of that. And every time Junior would step in, he would nail that inside leg kick or that outside low kick. So Junior trying to mix up his timing and his feints in order to enter in without being necessarily countered by Jairzinho. And you were seeing times where Jairzinho's timing of the counter was winning out. There were times where Junior was able to offset his timing. And then
one major adjustment though, like when he would get Jairzinho to bite on that body jab or body straight, he'd come over the top with that overhand right. Oh, mwah.
That was beautiful. That is such a gorgeous combination of strikes. Yeah, JDS has been the proponent of body jabs in MMA before anyone else was doing it, man, and never got credit for his technical innovation because it's such a subtle one. But he used it for everything, and it was on full display.
I'm one of those people who missed probably prime JDS just because I was in my MMA hiatus. But for the past couple of years when I've been watching him, his fights have been okay. I thought like this was the best he looked. He looked super light on his feet, which was good to see. His hands looked really good. I think just the way he was setting stuff up.
DC's up.
Yeah, sorry. Setting stuff up definitely messed up Jairzinho. But what I found, because I was more watching Rosenstruck a little bit more because I expected him to win, just because he was a fresher fighter, and because like he was, at least from what I saw, a heavier hitter. I thought he was a little. I don't want to say because I've listened to a little bit of analysis so far, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it was like a chess game. He was just waiting to counter and yada yada yada. But I think like had he not caught JDS and JDS had kept playing that kind of like stick and move game and kept playing it smart, it would have been almost another stretch, but Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, in where you have somebody waiting to counter with the perfect shot and some dude's just pressuring him and picking him apart essentially. Because I feel like it worked.
He did get a little gun shy towards the second round.
He looked gun shy,
especially right. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting also is that I found it very interesting he was going to the low kick because if you remember the Ngannou fight, that's exactly how he got knocked out. He
went with the inside low kick off of a left hook.
Yeah, no, but he was still throwing that inside low kick like all the time, like automatic. Like he must have thrown it like almost like 10 times maybe.
My dog's scared of the laundry basket. Sorry.
Hilarious. No, but he was throwing that inside low kick like a ton.
David, I agree with you, and the inside low kick though is a perfectly acceptable counter. Yeah, to someone swinging the right hand at you. In fact, it's textbook Muay Thai. Because you kick out that inside leg, you force your opponent to square up with their stance, and you take the stank out of that right hand. What's that?
I think that was the thing I did in my last fight, actually. Like, just go to the inside low kick, every time he wanted to throw that open side straight.
Yeah, the problem with Francis Ngannou in that fight, the problem with that is you probably could have driven a bus to that inside leg. Francis wouldn't have budged.
That's exactly what I was going to say. No, because I've, through my limited sparring experience, being in a situation where a dude is coming swinging with a wide hook, and I think I'm going to be clever and throw an inside leg kick to kind of destabilize him. And that hook is still reaching me because he's moving too quick. And I just think, like, especially against the most elite guys, it's dangerous to be playing that kind of game. So I think
How
against
though?
How
It's
are you
effective.
framing your
What?
hands when you do it? Like, just
Yeah.
like, honestly, off topic. How are you
like
framing
like
hands?
like like a little bit like this, like a zombie.
Both
Just
of
like
them?
hands down
Oh,
and
okay.
hands up.
Yeah,
No,
that's
all I'm
David.
saying
That's
is
your
like
problem,
it's
man.
also in the frame. The trick is in
That's
the
your
frame.
problem, bro. Get those hands up. Get those hands up. Maybe just one out there. But
Yeah.
The trick is in the
yeah,
frame. But
I think
I think Rosenstruck deserves another chance though at Francis Ngannou. Wow, dead
in the
silence.
future.
Wow,
No,
that's what you say.
I don't
Dead
I don't
silence.
disagree.
No,
In the future.
I really do believe like he just had a bad tactic against somebody that powerful and strong. I think maybe he goes again, he gets another chance, he can try something different. Like it's just like the more I spar, the more I realize just one change in tactic can change the whole dynamic of a fight. So
well, see, this is
Yeah,
what I truly
I don't
believe.
disagree with Jeremy though.
Yeah.
I actually agree with him on this, with the exception that I think Francis is next for Stipe,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I think maybe set up Curtis Blades versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. But
Why?
I
Why?
don't think he's getting past Blades, to be honest, because the takedown has been.
I didn't mean immediately. I didn't mean
Oh yeah, no, but
Yeah,
I agree.
future.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, my thing is that like, okay, my thing was that it's like JDS made one major mistake and Jairzinho Rosenstruck capitalized all over it. Where JDS, one of the flaws about JDS is he backs himself up against the fence all the time,
Yeah.
like for whatever reason, he does it all the time. And in this fight, he didn't do it once except for the ending sequence,
And that
And-
was that. He stayed there just a little bit too long, eh? Just a little bit too long with his back against the fence.
Yeah, and the second he did that, like, and Stipe took advantage of this in their fight as well. Is that the second you get JDS up against the fence, he's a completely different guy. He's panicky. He forces the issue. He's defensively irresponsible, and that's what happened. And Jairzinho just threw that trademark left hook over. And
Yeah.
actually, right, it was a right
Oh
hook.
my god, it was yeah. I thought it was a left hook too because it was a beautiful combination. I think he threw out kind of like with his left, almost like a shovel punch. Like
Yeah.
it's that the same punch he knocked out. I forget his name. He's knocked out a couple of people with it though. But it's like a cross between a jab and a hook. It's like that long straight.
Yeah,
and then
man.
after that he threw the right.
Oh, Alan Crowder.
Alan Crowder, that's right.
Yeah.
Threw the right, shifted into southpaw, and then threw the right again as a lead hook, and that was the one that put JDS down. Or at least wobbled him, and then alternating like from southpaw, right hook, left cross, right hook, left cross, and then it was I love shifting punches. where
Man,
you
what I
follow
like
through
about
with another stance.
Jorginho, or what I liked about his performance last night, well, just in general, is his boxing or his kickboxing is super duper technical. You can tell that he's had a lot of kickboxing fights, because just the way, like, it's almost like, ingrained in his memory, the way he's going through these combinations. Like, he looks fluid in a way that not a lot of heavyweights do. So, shouts out to Rosenstruck. He definitely belongs on that top tier of heavyweights in the UFC, which is no easy feat to do.
And can we give a shout out to the people of Suriname in general, because they have been, man, a nation that has produced some great combat sports talent that people don't realize.
Because they're always in glory and K1 and not,
Rekia and Ursel. What's that crazy guy from Mike's Gym? Melvin Manhoof. We've got Jairzinho Rosenstruck now, and I'm sure a couple others that I'm forgetting.
Oh,
but
what's his first name? But Abina.
Rekia and Ursel, who just beat Nikki Holskin twice, by the way. Twice.
Yeah. By the way, Nikki, the sun's getting a little low for him, is it not?
I guess, but come on, man. Can we just give the people of Suriname some
Yeah, no, I'm
some
just saying.
free clout for Suriname.
I respect Nikki a lot. Nikki's one of the greatest of all time. I'm just saying. The sun's getting a little low for Nikki. Okay, anyway.
Nikki let go of skin. Okay.
But yeah, no, look, I think it was a great fight. And I do think that Jairzinho is definitely a top 5 talent now. And I'd like to see what he can do. Why not, honestly, if we're really trying to play matchmaker and promoter, Derek Lewis versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Why?
Yeah, okay, why not?
Why not? Like, let's just leave
do
Curtis Blades out in the cold. Like, come on.
You know what? I say that's actually not a bad idea, because if you do that, then you potentially You have more options for the heavyweight title, and I'll tell you why. Francis is next, right? Depending on who wins that Francis-Stipe fight, and I don't think Francis is going to win it because he's made big technical adjustments. I think the real question is, has Stipe taken too much damage in his past couple of fights? But assuming Stipe wins, then you can put Curtis Blades against Stipe, or you can put the winner of Derek Lewis against Jairzinho against Stipe. If Francis wins, well, then you have some interesting rematches to deal with. You have a trilogy fight.
I'm ask you a really serious question right now. Do you really want to watch Stipe Miocic versus Derek Lewis?
No, but
No. But you
do
know
I want
what,
it? No,
though,
will I tune in? Probably.
But see, I made a video of this last week, is that I think Derek Lewis still has an upside. Like, I think if Derek Lewis really makes a commitment to it, he still can make adjustments to his game at 35. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see the progression or the regression of Derek Lewis moving forward.
Oh, speaking of which, we didn't even talk about 135 potential matchups for, Sean O'Malley and Cheeto.
Yeah, and Mahab too.
Darshvili, yeah. Marab, you mean?
Did I say Mahab?
Yeah, you said Mahab.
You know why? Because anyone from like anywhere in that area, I always mistake the R for H.
Hold on, you racist. What area?
I know, because I'm a racist. I'm a dirty racist.
No, not that. What area? What area, Mike?
The Caucasus.
Good save.
What
you said the Middle East.
I was gonna say he's from Georgia, no? Like,
yeah, I thought you would say the Middle East.
No, it's just that the Caucasus do tend to be Arab, especially in that area. So,
no, they're not Arab. They're racist.
I am a dirty racist.
They're not Arab at all.
They're not Arab.
No,
they're not Arab, but they're
Muslim,
Turkic.
you mean?
They're Turkic.
But they speak but do they not speak Arabic?
No,
Yeah,
they don't
because they're
speak
Muslim,
Arabic.
some of them.
They speak. No, they don't. No one in the Caucasus speaks Arabic. Not Georgia, not Azerbaijan, not Armenia. No.
Wait,
They were never colonized by
I
Arabs.
thought he was talking about also like Kazakhstan.
Completely different region of the world. Kazakhstan, they don't speak Arabic either. They were never colonized by Arabs. They're Turkic people.
But like
Get your
Muslims
facts
don't
straight.
speak Arabic. Hold on a second. Muslims
Hold on.
don't do
Oh my God.
geography.
Not all Muslims
Wait,
speak
so
the same.
how does Slovenia fit into all this?
Wow, you guys really just view Central Asia as just one big,
No. Like, I get what you're trying to say. I'm just saying, like, Habib has spoken Arabic before, so
He's spoken Arabic because it's the language that's spoken in the Quran. It's not because that's the native language of that region.
Exactly. That's my point. That's the point I was trying to make. Is that
no, it's not. You called them Arabic nations. They've never been colonized by Arabs.
Hold on, no, I did not call them Arabic nations. I said some of them speak Arabic.
Okay, guys, we're gonna move on.
Sorry, I did this with Stephen A. Smith. Like, we're arguing on semantics.
Hey guys, the biggest title fight in UFC heavyweight history took place, and we're talking about Stephen A. Smith, the racial makeup of the Caucasus Mountains.
Never say the leg kick does not give you premium A quality content. Never.
We're worldly here at the leg kick. Okay?
Hilarious.
You know what I think it is? I think I'm just today. So.
Hilarious. Do you watch the Daniel Pineda and Herbert Burns fight? Any thoughts on that?
I was so impressed.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty.
Respect to Pineda after coming off of a 6-year layoff from the UFC.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
He was killing it in PFL though. Like, see, I went and watched back, like after the performance, I went and watched back some of Daniel Pineda's performances, thinking like, what did we miss? Because, like, in fairness, we didn't really talk about it in the preview as much because we didn't really know much of Herbert and we didn't really know much of Daniel. But I went back and watched some of his performances, and he was killing it in the PFL, killing it. So,
really, eh? Interesting. Yeah. One thought that stuck out to me about this fight is that there is both jiu-jitsu black belts. Obviously, Herbert Burns is the more decorated as far as jiu-jitsu competition goes. I don't know if he's a world champion or not, but at the very least, his brother is. So definitely more decorated in that regard. There's a difference between jiu-jitsu suited for jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu suited for MMA. When you saw Herbert Burns get on top in the second round, there was, he advanced position, passed the guard, went for the arm triangle choke. Once Pineda got up, he was no worse for wear for it. Yeah. He was absolutely as damaged as when he got taken down. And that's the difference, man. If in MMA, jiu-jitsu works, but it has to be adapted, and the priority has to be on finding strike opportunities to set up submissions. Because if you're just focusing on control and staying chest to chest, you're really not accumulating anything that's going to add up to a better result down the line.
Yeah. I don't think it's this bad, but I feel like in the 1980s, this is what happened to karate, where it's like as soon as it turned into a like, it got popular, it watered itself down. Now, I'm not saying jiu-jitsu's there yet. I'm not saying jiu-jitsu's there yet by any stretch of the imagination, but I think questions need to be asked of like, what are we doing in these BJJ schools?
Precisely.
Well,
I'll come out and say it.
because
I'll come out and say
also-
it. Jiu-jitsu stopped adapting itself for MMA properly since the early 2000s. It's stop training in the gi, stop neglecting takedowns, stop pulling guard, and let's get the great minds of the sport like John Danaher to actually focus on how to make jiu-jitsu a legitimate, dangerous style for MMA again, so we can transition some of these high-level black belts into MMA.
Real quick. Sorry, David, go ahead.
I want to bring on the side point because I don't think we're probably going to go over this fight in detail, but I wouldn't go as far as saying that, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I wouldn't go as far as saying, it doesn't have, or it doesn't, I don't even know what point you're trying to make because
I'm saying you're on a trajectory that's very concerning. That's what I'm saying.
It still has a place in MMA, absolutely, but as a main skill set, like it just needs adaptation to bring it back to the focus, to the forefront. Because MMA is becoming striking with takedowns recently.
The Jandiroba fight, the Vina Jandiroba fight, because she used jiu-jitsu pretty much like just jiu-jitsu in a minute and 44 seconds. I'm looking here for Felicia Herrig.
That seemed like a big skill differential.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing. What I'm trying to explain is both Daniel Pineda and, like, if you were to say who's the better jiu-jitsu guy just by technique, of course, Herbert Burns is the better one. But it's not like Daniel Pineda was so far out of reach from a skill perspective. And what you tended to see was Daniel Pineda has adjusted his jiu-jitsu game for MMA, whereas Herbert Burns still kind of has that learning curve in him.
What I will say is also, just quickly to jump on that, because I really didn't have that many thoughts on this fight, other than Daniel Pineda looked mean. He hit a little bit meaner than Herbert Burns, who was, with all due respect, very competition-esque. Very, I don't want to say showy, but it didn't look like he was having the same impact as Daniel Pineda, who was pretty much like sitting on every shot, hitting him, striking him whenever he could. And
plus Verge missed weight too, so you don't know how much the conditioning.
That too. Just, I mean, but he didn't miss weight by that much. If I'm
3 pounds, if I'm mistaken. 3 pounds.
So. Yeah, he weighed in at 149 point something, so about three-ish plus pounds.
But yeah, no, look, I'm just concerned because we're seeing this story a little too much for me to be, dismissing it as just some kind of like stylistic difference, like where guys are coming in, like Davi Ramos is the big one, where guys are coming in and they're not able to just necessarily adjust the game to MMA right now.
Mike, I'll give you another one. 185er in the UFC, 2-0 now, but hasn't looked the most impressive. Rodolfo Vieira. He's another one who, when he came into the UFC, I'm like, man, like I see the upside to this guy. I see his fast takedowns, his strong top control. But it's like he didn't try to adopt his jiu-jitsu for MMA at all. It's like he's not striking from the top. He's relentlessly pursuing the arm triangle, which in and of itself is not a problem until you reach those higher levels and you get guys who get decent at anti-grappling. So, yeah, adaptations are necessary and damage has to be a priority on top.
Yeah. But like it's not. Look, we're not getting to the era of new school taekwondo and watered down point karate. I'm just saying it's on a trajectory that I'm scared.
Hilarious. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't
go that far either.
I'm not saying we're there at all.
Concerns are. Yeah,
there's still a place for it.
Your concerns are valid. I agree, and I share. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it's on the trajectory of Taekwondo, because Taekwondo is irredeemable. Okay,
even the most of the hilarious, but I don't think even the most avid jiu-jitsu practitioners would say that I actually have great respect for jiu-jitsu, by the way.
Me too.
I don't think that even the most avid practitioners would say that sporting jiu-jitsu is supposed to resemble a real life fight anymore.
Yes, it is. That's
sporting, like competition jiu-jitsu.
I mean, that's that's why the original rule set is based around that, and I'll tell you why. Positions, like if I pass to side control, I get 3 points for that. If I pass to mount, I get 4 points, right? The reward for getting these dominant positions is kind of a concession that we're not going to throw strikes, but I would be able to in this position. Therefore, I'm rewarding it highly with points. So in a way, it is supposed to simulate a real fight. And one of the arguments that a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners have made, which I can see, is that jiu-jitsu is a martial art that works well over time. And in the early UFCs, you saw that where Royce Gracie would be submitting people super late into the fight because early on, the wrestlers with their explosive takedowns and their ability to control top and to pull out of submissions using brute force would be effective. But as the fight wore on, if you give me 2 hours, yeah, I'm gonna take something home eventually. Unfortunately, in how MMA works now in a sporting context, we don't have 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Okay, I'm wrong. Do you have any more thoughts about the Daniel Pineda versus Herbert Burns fight?
I want to see Daniel Pineda fight again, man.
All right. Okay. Pardon, sorry?
I just really want to see him fight again.
Who?
I have no clue. I have
lightweight,
no clue.
man. Like he's gonna get
featherweight.
That fight was in lightweight.
Huh?
No, the fight was at featherweight.
That was at featherweight.
Why is my app lying to me? Come on.
Okay, hold on. We got to get our crap together. Mike is a grump ass. David is mincing words. Jeremy's defending Stephen A. Smith. Come on, guys.
I'm
what
not
is
even
this?
defending Stephen A. Smith.
I'm beautiful as usual.
Think no one is. I just think that
No. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it.
He sucks.
Let's not go down this rabbit hole again, Mike. Please, I'm begging you.
I just want to say
also, a lot of people had some thoughts about elbows from Crucifix. That's probably an interesting jiu-jitsu conversation somewhere there.
Let's talk about it. I love elbows from the Crucifix. That's a position we don't see often enough.
Yeah, a lot of people feel. I know some. I think it was not too long ago there was a debate about whether you should even just stop the fight almost as soon as it gets into that position, and somebody starts like raining shots because it's so hard to get out of and it can be so gruesome. What are you guys thought?
It's doable. You can definitely escape from the Crucifix, but it's difficult. I don't feel as bad letting it go a little bit longer in the Crucifix because you're not taking monstrous shots.
An opportunity to fight.
Yeah, and it's not like Mount where I can put the full weight of my hips behind my elbows and punches. It's just a fact of you can't escape, and I'll be here till the end of time punching you in the face, even if they are tiny shots. Eventually, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal position.
No, like the thing is like you gotta give I think in that scenario, I think it was Daniel Mergulado who was the ref. He gave Herbert every opportunity to get out. He just couldn't, so he ended it. It is, but like
I have no problem with that stuff.
Yeah, you gotta give like someone the opportunity to get out. Like you gotta let. Like, I know it's memeable now, but like that warrior spirit Mario Yamasaki was talking about, in some contexts, it's kind of a thing. Like, you gotta let somebody fight.
Related, then, do you have anything to say about the O'Malley fight that we've already talked about?
No.
That stoppage? No?
That was a good stoppage.
That's an excellent stoppage. I think that was an excellent stoppage because O'Malley actually goes out. Like, I watched that fight again. He goes out after a hammer fist to the top of the head, and O'Malley does one of these. And then immediately goes... Right, that's a sign of someone who was unconscious.
Yeah, if you're looking away from your opponent after you've gotten hit, regardless if you're unconscious or not, and I think he might have gotten unconscious temporarily. If you're not looking at your opponents after a strike, like
that's. I thought that was an excellent stoppage. I actually thought that's like. This is why I think Herb Dean gets called the gold standard. It's because he sees things sometimes. And
let's not go into that word.
The gold standard, like in that Chris Weidman Luke Rockhold fight. Ooh, gold.
Not gold. Into
that was
this wormhole.
Oh my god, dude!
That's something I noticed.
Destroying Chris Weidman's career, that was golden.
That's something I noticed in the coverage last night. They did not talk about the ref or judging at all. They did not want to talk about that at all.
Because it makes the sport look bad. This is what I was trying to explain, is that, like, if you keep focusing on the refs and everything, then everyone else is going to focus on the refs and everything, and then it delegitimizes your sport, because then they think it's blood sport.
I also think that affected, what's his name? Herb Dean's decision making last night when he jumped in for that O'Malley fight, but was probably for the best. So maybe Dan Hardy was right.
No, but the problem is then you get Mario Yamasaki, who starts ending fights like really early and then gets fired for it. So it's like at some point we have to let guys just work through it. Like stop messing with guys' confidence.
Mario also had some late stoppages as well, some scary late stoppages.
Yeah,
It's just Mario just kind of displayed poor judgment in general, I think.
That's not my point.
I wanted to talk about this Don Johnson fight.
That's
Don
exactly
Johnson,
what I was going to move on to, yeah.
Because Mike, we talked about this in our pre-fight, and I think I remember we were both looking back at John Dodson's record, and we realized not only has he not been finished, but although checkered, he's had a pretty good record lately, and he did well against Nathaniel Wood. He did well against Piotr Jan. I thought, while this wasn't the most spectacular fight of Dvalishvili's career, I thought he looked good. And John Dodson, difficult to hit at range, man. Always difficult to hit with combinations. Fast, always moving out of the way. Difficult to keep a hold of and hold down. Like Dvalishvili won, but was by no means dominant.
But like this is the thing though. What I thought was going to happen happened. Where I thought Dvalishvili was going to make John Dodson gun shy through the threat of the takedown and activity. And he made him gun shy through the threat of the takedown and activity.
Excellent prediction. Yeah.
So like that's kind of the way you have to fight John Dodson. You have to make him gun shy to use his speed and explosiveness. You can't let John Dodson get into a rhythm. If you're getting into a speed war with him.
That was well timed. We're keeping that in.
Yeah, but if you get into a speed war with him,
excellent timing for my dog. Yeah, I agree. You don't want to get into a gunslinging fight with John Dodson, and yeah, keep him on the back foot, keep him circling the cage. But man, I could count in each round. I could probably count on one hand the amount of connections Dvalishvili actually made. Were few and far between. Yeah, and that's a credit to John Dodson's ability to move and stay out of danger, and that's why his career has been so prolonged. I like to see him back at flyweight because I think he went up to 135 as a result of Demetrius Johnson being that boogeyman he couldn't defeat. He got those 2 title shots against him. Go back down. I like his chances at flyweight at this point.
Yeah, I guess.
Why not? Yeah, like if Cody Garbrandt's going down there, why not you?
Yeah, why not? But I just want to say that Dvalishvili looked really impressive for me because John Dodson is a vet and is so tricky to fight. I'm not gonna go into how much of him I know or too much, but from what I've seen, he's really quick, and Dvalishvili did a good job of kind of negating that. What stood out to me was just, as you said, making Dodson nervous about the takedown. I actually disagree with Stefano. I thought it was a pretty dominant fight.
You're right.
I don't think it was that close at all. Like,
it wasn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it was close. I meant to say that Dvalishvili, while he pitched a shutout, it wasn't a performance. He didn't brutalize Dodson, but he definitely pitched a shutout.
Fair.
Yeah, again, he made Dodson gun shy. Like that's kind of the best way to put it. He just made him gun shy. And you got to do that. Like you're not gonna brutalize John Dodson. It's not gonna happen. At least not in this current edition of him. You're not gonna make him. You're not gonna.
Hey, no one has.
On him. Yeah, you're not gonna put a beating on him because that's not the way you fight him. Another guy like that too. Like weirdly, I'm just gonna put it out there. Elias Theodoru is the same kind of way. It's like no one is going to just go in there and beat the brakes off of him.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah, another one. No one's going to go in there and beat the brakes off of me, but you have to fight him a certain way, and if you do, you win. Right? Like.
Okay, so is there any other fights you wanted to talk about on the rest of the card?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, there were interesting things. Like just quickly, Jim Miller, Vince Pichel, great performance by Vince Pichel.
Man, does that guy looks like an 80s, like the stereotypical dude in like an 80s gym? Or
I gotta be honest, to me, he looked like the 1880s. He looked like he was, come here, son, I'll hit you with the 1-2 combination. Nah.
Honestly, did you see his tats? He had Pichel on his back and then from Hal on his biceps.
He looked like he was pulled. He looked like he was pulled from a different generation.
For real.
Just, like literally sucked out of a time machine.
Yeah, man. Shout out. And so did Jim
And
Miller,
his
but in
name
a
his
different
name
way.
is very 1880s too. Like
Yes,
Vince
that's what I'm
Shell.
saying, man. He looked like one of those old fashioned strongmen. Um
Right?
like you would see at
We
like
gotta
a
get him in
circus or
black and white
something.
doing one of these.
This man just worked 18 hours on the railroad, and he's here now to put on a performance. Vince from Help a Shell.
Yeah.
The winner will be fighting for a ham sandwich and a tincture full of snake oil.
Yeah, pretty much. What is this Fallout? Jeez. Okay. um,
Oh man, I think
okay.
that's it for the podcast.
I also wanted to talk quickly, just really shout out to the first fight of the night. I
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know, I
great
think it's
war.
Tom Kelly or Tim
Yeah,
Kelly.
no, it was. I kept thinking Dan Kelly in my head because of famous
You know?
judoka Dan Kelly. Yeah, Tony Kelly versus
Tony.
Kai Kamaka. Woo!
Yeah, man, what a
Kai
fight! What a fight!
Kabaka, man.
Because once
Kai
again, it just
Kamaka can
shows you.
crack.
For me, what really stood out was this was the first fight of the night, and it showed you just how desperate guys are to get to the UFC. Because these guys were
They're
making their
hungry.
debuts, if I'm not
Hungry.
mistaken, and
Both debuting
they were.
fighters.
It was so high level. I couldn't believe because I watched ONE FC earlier in the day and then watched this, and I was like,
Night,
whoa,
night and
like
day.
what
Guys,
is going on?
hold on. If you Google the event on, I just want to alert your attention to something hilarious. So if you Google the event and you look at the location, last week someone posted on Reddit that the location on Google was listed at Buffalo Wild Wings, like where the UFC took place, and now it says that it took place in Jameson Pub in Illinois.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
right.
don't. Someone's pulling a funny here.
But
I
no,
don't
like
know.
you know what the thing is, like guys are like you're seeing it. There are guys in amateur who look like if this was if they were trapped in a time machine and thrown to the early 2000s, could be contenders in the UFC. Like look, they
There's this
look.
one guy. There's this one guy running through the amateur circuit, Mike Asiffo, Melanin Mike. Holy crap!
Oh,
You bring him back to 1984, he's winning a UFC title, no problem.
okay, relax. But I think no, but seriously, you're seeing a lot of guys who are doing like you're seeing a lot of guys just like basketball from the 80s to 90s who are doing things, at such a high level right now. And I think I've said this over and over again. They're doing everything, right? They're doing everything.
Yeah, man. Shout out Tony Kelly. Looked really fluid. Lost the first round, and for some reason, just got into Muay Thai, just dominance. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
You know
Closing the
what's actually,
distance,
you know
know
what
what he
actually
did?
surprising me
knees.
right now is guys are able to switch their stances to adjust styles that they want to fight at a certain point. And not necessarily even switching stances like going orthodox stuff. I mean literally going from Muay Thai to
Style
Yeah.
immediately karate stance to
Style
immediately
bending,
boxing.
yeah.
It is, it's crazy, and they're wrestling too, and you just would have never seen that in '08,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
But
the big adjustment in this one, as David mentioned with the clinch, like at a certain point, Tony Kelly's like, I'm going to throw my combination and I'm going to eat a shot afterwards, but I will end up in the clinch and put in work from there.
Which is
Sometimes
crazy because considering like Kai Kamako was throwing, like, and that's his strength is boxing. So to like have that first round and then think, what I need to do, get closer and then clinch and make this even dirtier than it is. Wow, shout out to Tony. That was really impressive. Like, that was super.
But I think at the end of the day, though, like we gotta give both of them a shout out because they looked hungry. That's the thing.
yeah, they looked hungrier than if they were fighting for a ham sandwich. That was good. I'm just curious you know what next week is, guys?
Pedro Munoz versus who is it again?
Frankie Edgar.
Oh my
Frankie
God.
Edgar, the legend.
And then
Legend.
who David doesn't like for some reason.
Man.
I remember that. I remember that take.
that
Though. I remember that take.
I'm angling to see if I can get a Bellator journalist to talk about Bader versus Nemkov, right? But that's I guess a off the topic thing. But yeah, Bader versus Nemkov is happening, and
Yeah, we
that's
got
gonna be
Julia
pretty
Budd in
cool.
that. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then
Julia
another.
Budd. Did you say you're excited for Julia Budd?
I said Canadian. That's kind of cool.
Oh, I thought you said you were excited for a Julia Budd fight. You might have been the first person in history to say those words.
Jesus, relax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any
The
fan
next
questions?
couple cards are actually not
Doing
that.
Are we doing a quick Raptors Nets preview?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Jeez.
While we
Oh
still
my
have
God,
time.
like 2 hours in and we forgot about that.
All
Raptors
right,
are facing
real quick,
They should be
real quick,
sweeping.
real quick before we do the preview, I just want to mention that Ronaldo Romero beat Jackson Marinez in the unanimous decision for the WBA lightweight interim championship, and the reactions around the world have been dubious to say the least. A lot of people are saying that Marinez got robbed. Uh,
Someone getting robbed in a boxing match. Wow, I'm not surprised. Okay.
Yeah, but like that's also just one thing I just want to say. Like usually when it goes to decision, they usually give it to the holder of the championship. I mean, I see it happen in UFC sometimes too. So I feel like that's why the reactions have been the way they were. But just wanted to quickly mention a championship bout that took place last night.
Damn, I wish I knew. I would have watched.
Yeah.
All right, Raptors versus Nets, real quick. If the Raptors don't sweep, then I'm concerned.
If the Raptors what?
If the Raptors don't sweep, I'm concerned.
They're not going to sweep.
Look,
They're not gonna sweep.
It's going to
I-
be
At least
it's
one or
gonna
two
be 4-1.
games. Wait, it's gonna be best of 5, right?
is it best of 5? I think
No,
it's best
best
of
of 7.
it's like normal 4-7.
It's still best of 7. Oh
Yeah.
man, this is gonna take forever.
Yeah.
Listen, I truly think with because there's no home court advantage or whatever like that, the Raptors should go in there and take care of
Yo,
business.
if there's no home court advantage, why are they still making these guys play a best of 7? Just best of 5 and let's move on with the year. Come on.
I don't think Michael. I don't think you're giving the Nets enough credit. Like even
No,
though
I like Karis LeVert. He can play.
and they're
But
missing
stop.
all their what?
I look, Karis LeVert can play, but let's stop. Let's cut it. Let's cut the BS. They had to call Jamal Crawford from his couch to come
Yo,
play.
shout out to them for even making the playoffs though, considering their actual team is out. If you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So
All their starters are gone.
yeah, no, that's actually kind of incredible.
Yo,
Yeah,
they gave
I'm
the
kind of
Trailblazers
convinced that
a lot for their money. Like you're gonna tell me the Orlando Magic last year, actually, but the Raptors are a different team too. So okay, I mean they should sweep,
and also
but just knowing the Raptors, I feel like this series is 4-1 Raptors. How about you guys? Michael says sweep.
it could be 4-1. I could see.
Yeah, I can
4-1.
see 4-1, 4-2, just because Raptors are gonna wrap. So
Michael, really quick, being a follower of the Lakers, what do you think the Lakers' chances are? Like, obviously not chances. I think they're gonna win, but how do you see the Lakers' playoff run going this year with the absence of Avery Bradley and Rondo?
They're gonna miss him. They're gonna miss him, but I think they're gonna be fine. I really do.
You think they're gonna win it all? You think they should win it all?
No,
Or you think
Clippers.
Clippers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Raptors, let's go Raptors. All right.
All right.
Stefano, who you got for the playoffs?
Honestly, man, the Utah Grizzly Bears probably, but if gun to my head, I might pick the Los Angeles Paperclips. I don't know.
Wait, are the
You know what's
Clippers
crazy?
named
You
after
can clearly
Paperclips?
tell he knows the team names. He's just
Yeah.
being a dick about it because he'll say a variation of a
The
team.
Utah Grizzlies versus the Sacramento Pelicans. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
The Pelicans. Yo, I prefer the Newark Chimpanzees. Great team.
Jesus, no. Yo, if that was a team name, that would be
Wouldn't that be great?
funny.
Funny story.
Funny. Oh,
funny
shouts
story.
out to also, speaking of football, shouts out to Washington Football Club also, or football team, who used to be formerly known as an indigenous people slur, which we will not sully this podcast with, but
The
I find that
Washington.
pretty funny.
Yo,
No,
I'm
no, leave
come
that
on.
out. Leave that
Wait,
out.
I can't say it. It used to be their.
I
team.
think they should go with the name Washington Justice. That's actually an awesome name. Washington.
That's actually pretty cool. You know what though? I think they should honor the Native American heritage of the team. Maybe name it after some one of the tribes, like maybe the Washington Comanches or the Washington. Like,
Oh,
how
like
badass would that be? That'd be
Seminoles?
sick.
Not badass
Like
at
the
all.
Seminoles? How you
No,
guys
no,
feel
like
about
they
Florida
actually
State?
name it out. Why would that not be badass if they actually
Like
name
the
it?
Washington Cree or something like that. Or
That's not cool at all. No, no,
What do you
no.
think about
Why?
what do
You're
you think
honoring
about
them.
what do you think about a school like the Florida Seminoles, the Florida State Seminoles?
I don't think that's cool at all.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think that's
honoring
cool
the
at all.
Seminole people.
I don't think that's cool at all because usually a lot of those schools or when I don't know, this is not the right platform for
Yeah,
this.
It
We can,
is.
and
It
I'm
is.
too
Keep
you
tired.
guys
going.
want to have this talk
Sports.
off the air, right?
No,
as we
I just
wrap
think
this up,
that
'cause-
I don't mind talking about it. I just think that a lot of the times when people talk about Native American, First Nation, or Indigenous cultures, it's usually not in a way that actually
It's not a
gives
flattering
back
light.
to the it's not a flattering or gives back to the community in any kind of way. And yeah, you could say that by naming it after a specific tribe of which there are hundreds and thousands of. So maybe if you pick something random like Cree and the Cree weren't even in Washington, then you have
I'm not.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree
I'm
with
not
that.
gonna
Like,
lie.
we need the accuracy of like the Seminoles. The Seminole people were from Florida, and like I think the biggest problem with talking about kind of Native Americans as one homogenous group is that they weren't. Like,
Yeah, no, for
so,
sure.
many of these tribes were unaware of each other's existence and would have considered themselves completely different nations from each other. But if it's a Native American tribe that's native to Washington and it's done with the proper intent, I have no problem with it.
And but the problem is Dan Snyder is a terrible human being and won't do it with the proper
It's
respect.
not
And
going to be done with proper intent. Yeah.
Dan
And
Schneider, isn't that the foot fetish guy from Nickelodeon?
isn't that the guy who owns like Schneider's like food?
I have no
Oh,
clue.
but by the way, whenever I was talking about someone who is in favor of keeping the Washington Redskins name, I'm like, okay, think about it this way. What if they had like a satirical image of like one of those like old racist minstrel show looking black guys as their jersey name, and they called them the Washington Darkskins? I'm like, think about that for a second. Like, how does this exist?
But we still have the Atlanta Braves, the Cardinal. Actually, no, the Cardinals are fine because that's a bird.
Cardinal lives matter.
Oh my god.
Yo, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up. I'm sorry.
Do you have any fan
One more
questions?
thing
Do
for me.
you have any fan questions?
No. We'll save them for next week.
Guys, audience out there, quick points. Just a reminder again, Shoney Carter episode is coming out Friday. Tune in. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe. Like the episodes. We've got a whole litany of episodes in the past to entertain you. Mike's always putting out new content, hot takes, beautiful topics. So subscribe to the Late Kick. We got big things coming. We may or may not be doing a preview for this upcoming Edgar versus Munoz fight, so stay tuned for that as well. And if you enjoy the podcast, tell your friends about it. It really helps us out, and we like it when you do.
Yay! Applauso. You didn't threaten any children.
Was that like a vanilla like push a promo? Like what was that?
All right, how about
Yo,
this?
cut that out.
Okay, listen here, you sniveling trolls.
There we go. Yo, you could tell Stefano wanted to say so bad right there. Like, I'm
What
kidding.
the-
Stefano. That's a joke.
You can't say that on the podcast.
I'm joking. And we're gonna be. I'm wilding. I'm wilding. I'm joking.
First of all, I've never said the N-word in my life.
I know, Stefano. I'm joking.
Wow, I'm
You don't
hurting.
strike me.
Yo, you took away my mojo. I feel like I lost my ability to threaten. Like you disarmed me with that shameful comment.
Man. Oh.
Wow. Well, let's keep that in. Let's show the world what kind of person David is.
I'm sorry, man. No, Stefano is not a racist. Stefano is not racist. All right.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Shocked, young
You know what? We'll give you the G pass. We'll give you one. You get one use. No, actually, I take it back.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
too late.
Sorry, Mike,
I'm not going to say it on air. I'm not going to say it on air, but I will take you up on that offer. Thank you, David.
I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be associated
Everybody,
with giving
I don't need your permission, Dave. Jeremy. I don't need your permission. I got David.
Yeah, I know you got your permission. I'm
more
not.
liberal than you. He's more liberal.
Hold
I'm
on.
not.
Don't let me in this.
Yeah, exactly. Don't lump me in this either. David's the one.
Jeremy, listen
You
here,
know
my
what, Stefano? You can say it.
I said, hey,
it, and I put
Jeremy,
my credentials on the line.
hey, listen here, my ninja. Okay.
Oh,
no.
Oh no.
You ever heard the Michael Che joke? It's like giving an alcoholic a drink. It's like it's a slippery slope. I can't.
We've all been there. Don't do that. As black men living in Canada, we've all been in the position of letting white people call us. So don't do that.
Oh my
Don't do
God!
that. Don't make me look
hard
weird.
R.
Don't
Why
make
did
me
you
look
have
weird.
to use the hard R, David? Why did you use
Because
the
that's
hard
what
R?
it is. That's
Why
what
can't
it
you
is.
say the A? You like you remember that white
There is no A.
school teacher? You remember that white
There is
school
no A.
teacher that got in that scandal? He's like, I put the H on the end to emphasize.
That is
Ah,
the Boondocks episode.
yeah, but that guy was real. You know that,
I
right?
know. I do know that.
Yeah, that was
All
a
right,
great
okay.
boon.
Wrapping up
episode.
the podcast.
Yeah, so I lost my mojo. I can't threaten you guys anymore. David disarmed me. So Mike, do your thing.
Cool. For all the peoples out there,
Listen up, you pond scum, you human pond scum.
there it
You
is.
troglodyte, scum of the earth,
Subatomic.
subatomic, urine-soaked losers. If you don't subscribe to the damn Leg Kick podcast, I'm going to do the worst thing I could possibly do to you. I will say the N-word on air.
No.
Absolutely not.
With that being said, Mike, take us away.
All right. I actually really do have to go. So for all the great people on the Leg Kick podcast who are subscribed and watch us consistently. Oh, and thanks for supporting the list, by the way. We got a lot of views there. Thank you so much. And remember, you got 3 things. You got life, you got family, and this podcast. See you later, everybody.
All right, we thought, guys.
Wakanda forever.
No.
No.
Hilarious.